Hey, welcome to Q&A with a Professional. I am thrilled and delighted to be joined by my friend Cassa Dean. She is currently an artist in Cirque Du Soleil's Beatles LOVE show in Las Vegas. Cassie, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. As everyone can see, we're both dressed in yellow.
Of course.
It's her favorite color, and I just had to do it. So
Yes.
I'm excited that you were able to join me today. It is an honor to have you with me, and I cannot wait to dive in. All right, Cassie, first off, how did you discover dance?
How did I discover dance? Actually, my mom discovered it for me. I was like 2.5 years old, and I just remember this because I woke up and she was like, "Put this on," and it was like this like red leotard, red tights, and these white ballet slippers. Okay, so this shows you how old I am. And she's like, "Come on, we're gonna go over here." And it felt like forever. And I just remember like this lady, and she had like really nice perfume or whatever. And she was like maneuvering us all around or whatever. And like, she put me in the front, and then she was like, "Okay, imitate what we're doing." That's how my career started. I had no idea what I was doing, but it felt good. You know, I was like, okay, I could do this. I had so much energy. I was that child, like just all over the place. So my mom was really smart, but it's because of my mom that I discovered dance.
So that's a fun intro into the world of dance. And now I just want to know an overview of your journey. So you started out young, like two.
Yeah, really young, 2.5. I went to a dance studio in New Orleans called Dumas School of Dance, and it was owned by two sisters. And gosh, I went there for all the way up until I was about 12 or 13. And with being there, whatever, the name changed because the sisters like kind of like went their separate ways. And then, but one of the sisters remained. And so I have her to thank, for my career. And then after 13, she just moved, like she just up and left. Yeah. And I was kind of like without a studio. So didn't really know if dance was like my thing, so I took like 3 years off or whatever, which at the time, like I wasn't as serious about it. Like it was something that was just like an extracurricular activity, something that I enjoyed, but I didn't miss it, and it's strange when you're young and you have all these distractions and things like that. So it wasn't until I was about 13, so probably about like 15, maybe 16. My sister actually was getting married, and she had a friend that went to a studio that had been around for forever in New Orleans. I never even heard of it, but it was an all black dance studio. And so of course I'm all like, yeah, let me go, Mom, let me do it. Da, 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 da. Meanwhile, on the side, though, I was on a dance team in school or whatever. So I still was dancing, and maybe that's why I didn't miss, dance school as much or whatever. But being able to be with other girls that look like me, and we were kind of going through the same journey and stuff like that or whatever, it was really cool. So I wind up staying there. It's called Benjamin School of Dance, and got like great like opportunities. I wind up being able to audition for New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. Short version is called NOCA. And that's a fine arts school. So I was able to do that in the morning and then go to my regular high school, which they call that secondary school. So I did that. And you had to audition to get in. So I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. But it kind of opened my eyes to the world of dance and the fact that dance could be a career. I had no idea, where I'm from, like people danced, of course, and we have a lot of culture and things like that in New Orleans or whatever, but it wasn't taken as serious as I feel like dance is today. It was just something that like, oh, she can do that. Oh, she's okay. Or she's great, and so like they were pushing, like it was a real intense school. They were pushing for it and everything. And I enjoyed it. I started to kind of fall in love with it and then felt like I just couldn't live without it. So I was doing that. I was dancing everywhere. I was dancing there. I was dancing at the studio. And then I was also captain on my dance team. So I was just like dancing. Like that's all I ever did was just dance, which is great. But then one of my teachers, one of my jazz teachers, was like my favorite teacher. He died. And so that kind of left like a big like hole, and I wanted to make him proud because he saw something in me. Him and my ballet teacher, Chase Ziblich, saw something in me that I never ever thought that I could be a professional dancer. So they pushed me on this level that was just like nobody else at the studio was on this level, So when he died, like I felt like I just owed it to him, you know, to be something in dance. So my senior year, I also discovered boys and I got pregnant. So all the dancing that I was doing was kind of, you know, put on the back burner because I had a son. And my parents were great though. Like they were very supportive, and they actually helped me raise my son. And I was still able to be, um, even though I was an adult because I had a baby, I was still able to like graduate and like do all the things that I needed to do. So at that time I started competing through the dance team. And so I actually competed alone, like on my own, instead of like going through the school because I was homeschooled. And I wound up winning first place. It was the first time I'd ever won anything. So I was like, okay, like I really can do this, you know? So I wind up auditioning for some schools to go, you know, go to college or whatever. Cause at this point, like my mom is now aware that like I can go to school for free. And she's all like, yes, get the money. So I'll never forget, I auditioned at Southern Methodist University, which is in Dallas, Texas. That was the most awful audition I had ever been to in my life. They were great. I was awful. Okay. I was so bad. Oh my God. I was so bad. I was just, although like I had had the intensive training, I still had a very long way to go, you know? And so, that kind of discouraged me though. Like that was the only audition that I had did for a school and they were like, no. So I got cut like immediately after bar and I was devastated. And then my mom, like she was always been that person. Like she's always kind of been like my like backbone for dance. And she kept pushing me, oh, you need to audition. And I completely got discouraged. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. So I wound up going to a state school in Louisiana and I went there for 2 years. And in my second year, I started taking dance again, you know, kind of feeling good about myself. And this teacher, she came in, her name was Alicia Guy, and her husband like had did like so many things. Like she had worked for the Lakers and all this stuff. So she wanted to take a few of us to a real dance program, which happened to be the University of Alabama. So I was like, I remember being like, Alabama, oh my God, like that's so far away. I'm not gonna like it. And I got there and I loved it. Like, this sounds crazy, but like the grass and the like the setting, the trees and the flowers and everything like sold me. Before I even got into the studio to take class, I was like, okay, I need to be here because the school was beautiful. We took class and like I fell in love with it. Like they had great teachers and things like that, this big old studio, big opportunity. So I had made up in my mind that I was like, I want to go to that school. So she helped me, Alicia helped me. We had did an audition tape and I sent it in because I had missed the whole audition process. And I'll never forget this. I did the combo that she taught me and I felt like it was awful. Like I was awful. And so I was like, wait, on the video. I was like, let's do it again. I was like, it has to be perfect. Thinking that she would cut that out and send the regular version. She sent the whole thing. And so I didn't find that out until the director of dance had actually called me and told me that I was in the program and I had been accepted and that she applauded me for wanting to be my best. And I was at the time, I was like, what is she talking about? And then it only took until I actually met Edie Barnes and she reminded me of that I was like, oh, okay. And she loved it though. And here I am thinking like, oh God, like I can't believe I did that. But it was my personality, I guess, that she liked. I don't know. But yeah, so I transferred over to University of Alabama, spent another 3 years there in the program. And it was the best thing I could have ever done. Opened a lot of doors. I've met great people like Sheree. We danced all over. We went to so many different places, so many festivals and things like that. We met a lot of great people. And also I was getting a degree in something that I was truly passionate about. So for me, it was like A+, you know? After I graduated, I kind of hit like a low part of my life because I didn't know what I wanted to do. There were, like talks about going into a company or, doing this or that. And I just never was a company person. It just wasn't for me. But at that time, I had never told anybody. I wanted to be in the circus. I really did. I love elephants. That's my favorite animal. So like my thing was, I'm going to figure out how to be, at the time Barnum and Bailey was around, I'm going to find out how to be in that circus. So with that, I wound up graduating, going home. And at that time, my dad actually had gotten sick. So it was perfect timing because I could take care of him and then try to figure out what am I going to do, you know? And also get time to spend with my son, you know, because I had been away from him and as much time, you know, going back and forth and stuff like that. But as we know, keeps us really busy. So I stayed at home for about, I don't know, about 8 months. And my mom actually had talked me into going and auditioning at Disney World. Never thought about working there. Never thought about it. Like Disney World was a place we went to in the summer. Like it was great, you know, never thought about being a performer there. So she was like, let's just go, you know, like we don't have anything to lose. Da, 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 da. So I was like, okay, you know, we went to the audition. I made it to the end. And then I didn't hear anything for like 3 months. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of discouraged now, you know, and stuff, trying to figure out, like I knew I wanted to dance, but what do I want to do? So it just so happened that there was a company in Baton Rouge that was gonna start performing. And so I was like, you know what, I need a job, I need to dance, like this is what I want to do. So I was actually going to go to that audition, and then Disney called. Like, I think I was gonna go on a Saturday and Disney called Friday and offered me a seasonal job for Christmas that year. And I was like, yeah, like I didn't even care what it paid. I was like, yeah, I get to go to Disney. And then the fact that I get to dance with Mickey Mouse, I was like in heaven. Like, I was like, this is like, I've made it to the top.
There you go.
You know, so I wound up doing that. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas was the name of the show. And I did that for the Christmas season. And then after that, we had an audition actually at Disney, and called it an internal audition, where the casting director is trying to see where you fit in normal, like day-to-day operations. So we did that. And then I didn't hear anything for another, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months. And then I wound up getting hired full-time at Dream Along with Mickey, which is the castle stage at Magic Kingdom. So I was there for, at Dream Along, I was there a year. I wasn't there like a year and a half because I started in the summer. And then I left because I got transferred over to Beauty and the Beast. And then I was at Beauty and the Beast for like another 4 years. And that was fun. Like I was really surprised that I even got over there because I was not the height requirement, even though I did not tell the truth and said I was taller than what I was. But I got over there and, you know, it was fun. And, but at that point, like I started kind of feeling like, you know, okay, like I've done this show. What else can I do? Like I kind of started like getting to that point where I was like, you know, like there's so much more out there. Yeah. So I started auditioning in New York. So like I would like change my schedule, or on my days off, I would go up to New York and do the audition process. And they were like, I was auditioning for everything. Lion King, Broadway shows, like wherever there was an audition, I was going. So I did that, and I think I auditioned for Lion King like 3 times. And the first time I got cut, and then the last 2 times I made it to the end, but I never got hired. And I was like, I want to be in this show so bad, and I never did. And then I auditioned for Memphis, the show, because they were going on tour, and I wound up getting a call back, and I was like, oh my God. And then they asked me to sing, and I was like, okay, like I'm a dancer. Yeah, y'all don't want to hear me sing. So I remember like calling the casting director and like, you know, because I didn't want to waste her time either, but I was just like, listen, like I'm not a singer. And, you know, she was like, just go get some vocal lessons, but we do have a track that like, you know, lip sync. So I was like, oh, okay, this is great. You know, like maybe my way into Broadway, like this will be great, you know, and everything. And I didn't make it. So I was like, oh, okay. I never gave up though. Like I was like, I have to keep going. So there was an audition for Barnum and Bailey to be an elephant girl. And I was so excited because I'm like, this is my dream. Like I'm going to be on an elephant. And I'll never forget this. I'm living in Orlando, still working at Disney, go to the airport, and I can literally talk to a brick wall. So I'm like talking to this woman. And she found out I worked for Disney. And so like we're going back and forth. She just thought it was the coolest thing. And we're talking. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at the wrong gate. So I missed my flight. And by the time I realized that I missed it, I could see my plane like going up, you know. So I was like, oh God, I missed that and never got my opportunity to audition for Barnum and Bailey. I was devastated. So I remember talking to my mom about that, like, and she was just like, well, you know what? She was like, you missed that one, but what about Cirque? It's my mom. Like, my mom is my angel. Like, she was always the one that like knew stuff. And I'm like, I'm in dance and I don't even know about it. How do you know, you know? So she was like, yeah, she was like, you should do it. Da, 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 da. So I remember looking it up, and it was always like you had to be invited to the audition. So that kind of like, I was kind of like, oh, it's a little overwhelming. Like, what if they don't like me, you know? And dance is like that, you know, like we're always being judged because of what we do, you know? So I kind of like just kind of sat back, and then a good 6 months, I just was at Beauty and the Beast. And then I was like, you know what? I need to go for it. So it just so happened that when I looked up Cirque, they were holding an open audition in Las Vegas. And I was like, you know what? It's a sign. I got to go. I got to do it. So I went, and I'll never forget, like, this is probably the biggest audition I'd ever been to. And it was a male call and then a female call. And when I got there, like, I don't even remember what number I was, but I was like, I had to have been like 300 and something. And I'll never forget, the last girl literally had gotten off the plane. She had flew in from Japan. Okay. And she was number 504. And I will never forget that, because I was like, it's 500 girls. It was 2 days of the longest audition I ever did. But I wound up making it all the way to the end, and they were like cutting, like it was vicious. Like you do a combo, cut. And then like you do another combo, cut. And then that was the end of the first day. And then the second day, like we came in and we did a partnering thing, which was kind of scary because I didn't know any of the guys. And then they cut. And then you got chose to learn rep from whatever shows needed people. And so I was chosen actually for Elvis at the time and Love. Mm-hmm. And so I remember learning Elvis and being like, oh, it was a lot, because they had a stepping and like, it was just all kinds of genres of dance that I was like, okay, like I wasn't ready for that. And then Love seemed to be like more of my speed. It was hip hop, contemporary, like it was cute, you know? So after that, you got cut again, and then you had to bring in a solo. So I'll never forget my solo, because actually my dad had just passed a year ago around the same time. And I was so like nervous to do my solo because there were people in the room that I had just watched on So You Think You Can Dance. Right. That it just went before me, and I'm like gagging, okay, at their talent. So I'm like, oh God. And I'll never forget my first like movement in the solo. Like I just brought my arm up to the sky, and when I looked up at my hand, I saw my dad's face. And it was like, like gives me chills now, like, right? And it was just like, it just was a sign for me that like, he was like, you can do this, you know? And he was a big support system too. So he was always that loud person in the audience that was always screaming for me. I could hear him, you know? So anyway, I did it, and it was probably the most beautiful time I'd ever danced. And I remember, you know, being good about it. And then after that, it was done, you know, like the audition was done, it was over, and I could breathe. They had asked me to come back because I went to the contemporary portion of the audition, and then like the next day it was a hip hop audition. They had asked me to come back to that, and I was like, I can't, I got to go back to work, you know, reality sitting in. And so maybe like 3 weeks had passed, and I got a phone call from them, and they were like, we're interested in you for a particular role called Lady Madonna. She was a character role. It was a pregnant lady in the show. So I'm like, oh God, like, okay, well, all right, fine, I'll do it. You know, they flew me back, and it was between me and another lady that had actually went to the hip hop audition. So we got to go on the stage, we got to watch the show, and it was crazy. And I was like, I love this show. Like I have to be in the show somehow, some way. And I'll never forget, we did the audition, and then for like a month and a half, I heard nothing. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't get the job. Like I remember telling him, like, I didn't get the job. Like I know I didn't. And, you know, and then they finally called when I had flew back to New York for another audition. And they were like, well, you know, we went a different way, but, you know, we're going to keep you on file. So, you know, as a dancer, you're like, okay, keep me on file, but they're not going to remember me. So I was like, you know what, Disney, I've done it. I need to move on. And I had a friend actually that was a casting director at Norwegian Cruise Line. So I had reached out to him, went to the audition, and wound up getting booked for the Norwegian Jade, which was like the Mediterranean. So went there, and I'll never forget, while I was in rehearsal for that, which is like rehearsal, I did aerial work in Toronto for a week, and then we flew back to Tampa, and then rehearsal was like a month and a half. And I'm going on like my third week, getting ready, you know, get on the ship and everything, and Cirque calls. By this time, it's been like, I don't know, like 2 years since I've like auditioned for Cirque. So they call, and I'll never forget, like the lady was like, you know, like we were wanting to know if you're still interested in working for the company. And I'm like, yeah, you know. And she's like, okay, well, we would like to present you for a dance role. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And then she was asked me like, okay, will you be prepared, to come soon? And I was like, ugh. I'm actually just getting ready to go on a ship. And in my mind and in my experience, being professional has gotten me a long way. So I didn't want to just up and quit because Cirque was thinking about me. So I remember telling her like, well, listen, I'll have to go on a cruise ship. And, unfortunately, like, I don't want to be unprofessional and say like, oh, I'm going to leave. So she was like, well, we're going to present you anyway. And I was like, okay, well, if something comes about it, you'll have to email me because I was getting on the ship.
Right.
Like 2 months after I was on a ship and I realized this is not for me. They emailed me and was like, you got the job. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm in Cirque. But then like, I was like, how am I going to tell my manager that I have to leave? And I'm like, I'm in Greece, and stuff. So I'm like, oh God. Thank God though, like the casting director was the sweetest man I'd ever met. He was so proud that I had made it into Cirque. He flew me home. And all he asked in return is he was like, whenever I make it to Vegas, he was like, let me in the show. I was like, you got it. Cause I knew that I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to quit and it's gonna be awful. And, but I wound up giving him like a month in advance notice. And because he appreciated that, like it gave him a chance to find somebody. So it worked out. And I remember flying home from Italy. And when I got back to Orlando, I had like 3 or 4 days. And then I had to fly to Quebec, Montreal. And it was crazy. I was sick. It was so much going on, but I couldn't believe that I was like, I'm a part of Cirque. Flew there, did some things, and then went straight to Vegas. And I never looked back. Like was in love the Beatles show. I had plenty of opportunities. And I met a lot of different celebrities. We've danced in a lot of crazy places. I think the craziest place I've ever danced was in the airport. We danced in the airport. I was like, I never thought I'd be dancing in the airport. Especially Las Vegas airport, it's huge. But yeah, like it's been great. I've been at Cirque, this has been my 8th year. Coronavirus unfortunately shut us down and we're in the last phase. So that's pretty much means that like we won't come back until it's normal. But the opportunities that I've had while I was there is along with performing and growing. I was captain like 3 times. And then we had a dance master. She actually went on maternity leave and I was asked to be interim dance master for a while. So that was really cool. And, it was great to like be, on the other side. And then I was artist coach within that time before that and then afterwards and stuff like that. And basically what artist coach does is like we manage the other artists while also performing in the show. It was probably the toughest job ever because you're like the middleman, like you're the middleman with your manager and then you're the middleman with the artist. So it's tough. It's quite exhausting. And then the show on top of that is exhausting too. So, but it was fun. Like I'm so thankful for the opportunity. I never even thought that I could lead anybody. And my artistic director at the time was like, you're a leader. She was like, you're going to be in this role. And I was like, I didn't ask for the role. And she was like, you're going to do it. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I felt like I owed it to her to show her I could do it, even though I didn't ask for it, but it taught me a lot. Like I learned a lot of patience. Yeah. I learned how to handle people, and everybody is different. And that was challenging, but I appreciated it because it made me a better person. So, and then that's where I'm at right now, just like impatiently waiting to get back on stage. Yeah. But, that's where I'm at now.
Look, there are themes of balance, both personally and I think relationally in your story, and reliving it as you're explaining these things. There's so much of it that I know, and the little tidbits I probably either just forgotten or that I'm like, oh, that's in there too. It's just,
yeah.
But it's crucial to hear these stories. And I say it often listening to those that I'm interviewing, but it's people I think seem to sometimes gather from dancers, outside of the dance world, that it's just, oh, they started dancing when they were young and then, they went and auditioned or someone handpicked them and they popped up in a show.
Yeah.
And
no.
there's so much more.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yes, and so I appreciate being able to sit down and pull these things, out of a variety of different individuals from all walks of entertainment and dance. And it's just mind-boggling. Some of it is just like, wow, you really went through this, and look at where you are now. But it's very eye-opening. And I think it segues into, we have a question from Devon. I think it's a friend of yours. McCullough. Is that how you say it last name?
Yeah.
But he wanted to know what you think the secrets are behind getting to where you've gotten, in your career. Do you think
The secrets? I would say the very first secret is I feel like I learned from experience, like being told no, or you're not right for this role or whatever. It did discourage me when I was younger, and along with dance, because dance teaches you a lot of discipline or whatever. But it also taught me to like not be afraid of that word, like no is not a bad word. It may just be not right for you, but it didn't. I say I was devastated. It never discouraged me from reaching my goal, though. Like I still tried. I auditioned for Cirque twice. I auditioned for Lion King 3 times. And for me, it like kind of fed my soul. Like no, okay, I'm going to show you that I'm good enough, and I'm going to make it to the end. And even if you don't pick me, I'm still good. And so I feel like that's a huge secret. Like don't be discouraged by that word. Like like let it feed your passion. Another secret is, it's not really a secret, but maintain professionalism, like for real though, because a lot of people they come in, and I know everybody's from different places and they do things that are not acceptable behavior. Being professional will get you a long way. It'll even like show people things that you don't even see, and then in my world, that actually happened with Artist Coach. That happened. Like this woman is telling me I can lead these people that are either my age or older. And I'm like, I can't do that, but I wind up being able to do it. And then she put me in the dance master role where I'm like in charge of like more, like decisions and like recruiting people to come into the show. And like, a lot of stuff that I was like, I could never do it, but I did it, So I would say those two things, like don't be afraid of no and maintain professionalism.
Don't be afraid of no, maintain professionalism. Take that with you. I have like a dance toolbox or a bag, but I always tell students, people I encounter, whatever, when they ask those things, put those things in that bag.
Yes.
Readily accessible, because you need to have them. And it's important to hear coming from someone that's had a career, a journey like yours. So I appreciate that. And I wholeheartedly agree. I can talk, I promise. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. So that's great. Thank you for sharing those things with me. I have a question about the performance side of things.
Okay.
So how does it feel to be in entertainment? Because we still are, right? We're dancers and it's an art and we love it. But how does that feel to be an entertainer? Like what?
Yeah, it's rewarding. I will say that, but I feel like it's like a hunger for me, and being able to entertain people. It's like I'm feeding myself, because it makes me feel good to make people feel good, or to make them have some kind of emotion from what I'm giving them. Particularly at Cirque, it's funny because we call it an emotional roller coaster. We kind of take you on all kind of emotions, through the Beatles story. And so like there are times where we're extremely like happy and over the top, and we're screaming and like losing our minds, and then like we're really serious, because we're trying to portray or like convey a message, like Come Together is about being free and loving everyone and stuff like that. So for me, every night at Cirque, like it's funny because we're doing the same thing, but it's different every night. And for me, like, I like that, the diversity of the show. It's never the same. You're never with the same partner. Even sometimes we have 2 shows a night. The first show and the second show will be completely different. Like I may have done, oh, Come Together, Hey Jude, Sgt. Pepper. Those are names of dances that we're in. And then the second show, I may have done like Get Back and like another completely different act, you know? So it's ever changing. And I feel like us dancers, we love that, you know, like we like the fact that like our world is just like, we move here, we do this is a different movement and it's not the same thing. And then I'm lucky too, because there are so many talented people that I work with or whatever. And like some of them are like world-renowned b-boys, you know, that like go off and like judge competitions and things in like other countries, and they're like celebrities and stuff like that, and even like the aerialists. And so we kind of like feed off each other, and then we take that on stage, you know. So for me, it's fulfilling. I love it. I am getting older, so everything now is like starting to kind of hurt a little bit, but I'm kind of grateful that I've had the opportunity to be on both sides of the spectrum. Like I get to perform, but then I've also been on the other side where I get to make decisions. So then I can kind of like, when I'm ready to transition, be ready to do that. But yeah, you know, I feel like my answer, like any other dancer, is the passion that I have for it, and it just feeds my soul. And if I'm not dancing, which right now, like I'm losing my mind, you know, and it's just, like I said, like, it's just so, there have been times where like we've done the show and we walk around and we wave to everybody. It's like a whole finale, and you see people cry, you know, and they're crying because they're happy, you know, and it's made them feel, you know, and that makes me feel good. You know, I've touched this person, or I've touched these 50 people, you know, in the theater. So yeah, like I enjoy it. Like it's a passion that just feeds my soul.
And it does. And your show, I speak firsthand, because being able to see you perform in this show, being able to be in a theater, would you say theater in the round? So
yeah, in the round.
The effects, the dancing, the vast, like the diversity, like you said already, of the dancing, it's something that you take in, and it's like, I want more already.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I got out of my seat. I said, I need to see it again. Like,
yeah, you got to come back when we open.
And the crying, like just weeping. And I love the Beatles, but it's not been, you know, how they have fans that are just like, you know, hardcore. But it took me, you know, just to a different place. So insert, everyone needs to go see the show.
That's right.
When it returns. And do you think, because I hear you say being able to be on both sides of the table, I like to ask and know, if not dance, then what? But it doesn't necessarily have to be a then what, right? It can still be dance. It just in a different way.
You know, it's funny you asked that, because I'm kind of like there, you know, like I said, I'm old. But I'm more like still trying to figure that out. But I feel like it's funny, because when I first went off to college, I was like, I'm going to be a dentist. And yeah, then I got into biology, and I was like, this is not for me. Yeah, no. So I think like I would like to stay in entertainment. We've been lucky because we actually just had the Raiders come here, and I was like, oh my gosh, opportunity to like go and like maybe be like a coach or something like that. And so I actually did interview for that, and then Corona like shut everything down. So I haven't even heard, you know, and stuff like that. But then I was like, you know what, like I could do something like that, work for a professional organization like that, or maybe even be like a professor. I don't know. That's kind of like on the end of the totem pole for me. I don't think I'm there yet, but I do want to still be in the entertainment realm. But I don't know. I don't know like exactly what, like I still want to coach and stuff like that. But then I kind of like being on the admin side of it all too. So yeah, I'm an open book. Like I'm all like, yeah, I'll do this and I'll do that. And you know, if I could tell you all the jobs that I've had, you'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah.
I sometimes wonder if as artists, like it's something in us that's just innately like, I'll try this, I'll try that too.
Right. I'll do it all. Don't worry, guys, I can handle it. And then at the end of the night, like I'm like in the bed. I hadn't even made it to the bed. I'm on the floor, you know, knocked out. So
exhausted. So because of all this going on, it's like a lot going on out there, and then not so much going on because we have to either stay home or you're just trying to remain cautious. What's filling your time? Like, what have you found that, you know, this is what I'm doing? A day for me, because we're safer at home, looks like what?
So I've actually gotten back into working out. I took this coronavirus in my mind, even though I'm like, we don't know what's going on with that. I was like, this is my break. I finally get a break. We're never off on the holidays. We work 5 days a week, and we only have 2 days off. And the show is very strenuous. So by the time you get back to one, and it's time to go back to work. So then like, you start all the way over again. So, and it was funny because when Corona happened, like when everything shut down, we had I think we had a month left before our vacation. We have vacation every 4 months to kind of rehab and relax and then get ready to do it all over again. So we were almost there. And by that time, everybody's kind of burnt out, because we had been working and doing a couple 6 days here and there. So, I took a break. I didn't do anything. This is awful. Guys, don't do this. I ate everything under the sun. I'm eating cookies. Just stuff that don't do it, guys. Stay healthy, promote healthy. So then after sitting on the couch for at least 2 months, and realizing that we are not going to go back and that we are in the last phase, I was like, okay, I need to get it together. I was starting to kind of missed working out. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I was missing that. And so it's funny because my fiance and I, we work out every day. We get up and that's the first thing we do is we work out, and we've been trying to eat healthier. Now he's on a whole nother level of trying to go vegan. I can't do that. So I'm trying to eat healthier, which has been great. And I feel good. And so, aside from working out, I bought a sewing machine, and I've been sewing little things here and there, and trying to figure out things to make. And my sister's really crafty like that. So she's actually gotten me into making these, she calls them basket covers. And it's just so you don't have to touch the basket because, everything is, you got to clean your hands or whatever. So I've been doing that actually, and sewing and catching up on all reality TV, which is awful, but it's been good. I've been running with my puppy because he's like a horse. And just more of trying to stay healthy and keep my stamina, because that's the biggest thing at our show. It's all about stamina because like Cherie said, it's in the round and we're always running around and you have to get to the other side of the stage in 4 counts. Oh goodness. So and I could tell that I was losing that. I'd walk up the steps and I'd be wheezing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm out of shape. So I need to get back in there. And normally what I do when I get up, working out consists to me of class, actually weightlifting, and then I'll do different kinds of Pilates classes, ballet classes, jazz, any kind of dance classes and things like that. And I do ab work, all that different stuff or whatever, just to, maintain whenever they decide. I'm hoping that one day we'll just wake up and they're like, hey, you can come back to work now, and I'll be ready, and that too, always stay ready. If you're already ready, you don't have to get ready, So, that's what I do every day.
It's a must, even though it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough.
Okay, I'm going to get it and I'm going to make it happen. But like you said, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And it's back to the, you discussing discipline, having discipline and being able to keep it up. But it's also nice to take a break. And we do.
Yes. Oh my God. I needed that break. I didn't realize I needed the break until I was in it. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine and I told her, I was like, it's crazy. We live in the desert, but I'm noticing things outside that I've never noticed. Even in my yard, I'm like, when did that tree get that big? Never noticed it. Because all I do is drive out of the garage and drive back in the garage. I'm not even paying attention to, and it's just the little things. I'm a big nature person. So for me, it's everything outside, and I feel working, I never got a chance to do that. And I was always envious of my colleagues because they are always going on these trails and things like that. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do it because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt, because I'm clumsy. But now it's been nice. It's rejuvenating, to get out and enjoy the air. And, when the sun is it's not 120 degrees outside, you can actually get out there and enjoy it, and I find that even in the house, my fiance is going to kill me, but he's like, you're always finding stuff for us to clean up or paint or, and I'm like, yeah, because now I have the time. I kind of got a little bit overboard the first few months, but now it's kind of relaxed or whatever. But it's crazy how once we slow down and breathe, how you see other things that you didn't see before, you know? So for me, like, I was like, yeah, I needed this, you know? I took it a little too far, you know, with the cookies and all that, but
Take that break, eat a couple cookies, get back to
right,
it.
right.
Cycle through, you know, balance it out. What would you say have been the biggest obstacles or the biggest obstacle you faced throughout like your dance journey or your career?
The biggest obstacle probably be being too hard on myself. Yeah, I have stood in the way of things that I could have done. And later on I did do or whatever, but I was more of like, you're not good enough. Like I would tell myself that, or they're not going to like you, or they're not. And you don't know, you know, like I tend to, like when I talk to young people, I tend to like lead them the other way, because I'm like, I missed out on a lot of stuff that I could have done, you know, or whatever, because I was talking myself out of it. And I feel like if you're not your biggest supporter, even though my mom was supporting me and my dad and like all these people, it's still not enough if you're not supporting yourself, you know. And that was my biggest obstacle, was believing in myself. And I'll admit it, and I feel good saying it. And my doctor would be very happy that I said this. But yeah, I was really insecure about my, I don't know, my dance, my looks, like everything about me, I was insecure about. And in all honesty, I don't know where that came from. I don't know. I can't really say, oh, it was because of dance, because I don't think it was, because dance made me feel good, you know, but it was only when I was moving, you know, and I wasn't really talking. It was all the other stuff that I was like, I'm not good. I'm not good. I'm not good. So then that carried over to dance. And then, you know, so yeah, I would say like, don't listen, you know, like know that you can do it and get out there and show them, you know, because you might even surprise yourself. And I feel like once I did that, then like things started opening up for me, you know, like, oh, okay, like now I got this job. Oh my God, now I got 2 jobs and I got to tell somebody no, you know, like, but yeah, like don't doubt yourself, because that is awful.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good advice. And that's good. That's awesome transparency.
Yeah.
Because it's necessary to do some like self checks and be
absolutely
effective in things, because so much of what we do is sometimes the outward that, you know, you have to take a moment to stop and check in with you, you know,
yeah.
and make sure. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Who would you say, or what, I ask you, who and what is your biggest influence or role models in dance?
You know, before Cirque,
Mm-hmm.
like it was like, I feel like I'm like everyone else because of what it was, kind of mainstream to like what we knew, you know. And like I had mentioned earlier, there was only a certain amount of dance coming in. Of course, like my mom, she definitely influenced me into a lot of stuff, and always knew that I could do it even when I didn't think I could do it myself. My role models, there have been so many, but like actual people that were in my life would definitely have to be Chase Zibledge. He was my ballet teacher, and he would push me in ballet, and he kind of like made me fall back in love with ballet, because I got to an age where I was kind of like, oh my God, ballet is awful. I never wanted to go to ballet class, and then it got to the point where that was the only class I was going to at one point, and it was because of him. Like he made me love it again, you know. And then of course my jazz teacher that I told you passed, his name was Ferdinand Jackson, just made me love jazz too. Like, and I was more of like a modern girl, like that was my thing and that was what I wanted to do. And then those 2 disciplines, like they just made me fall in love with it again, and like really like go back to the basics, you know, and make sure that I'm good so I can like succeed, you know. And I feel like because of them, I was able to kind of like, you know, segue my way to being successful. As I've gone on to college, of course, Cornelius Carter is one of my biggest and hugest role models, because I felt like not only in dance, but like just being African-American in the dance world, he was very, just very like, I don't even know the word, like he always knew what to say to motivate you, you know, and he made you feel good. And with my biggest obstacle that I talked about before, you didn't see a lot of us, you know, and I say us Black people,
Right.
in this realm, you know, and he made it where it was acceptable for me. And I come from the South, and you know, like there is racism there, like it just, it is what it is. And you know, he made it be known that Black dance was beautiful, you know. And then there were times like Cherie, we were in a couple dances for Cornelius that were just the Black girls, and then the other girls were over here, and it kind of felt weird. But then, like, as I look back on it, like he was pushing us out there to show us that, you know what, they're great, but these Black girls are great too, you know, and we can all like come together and exist, you know, coexist. And like it's crazy because at the time it was so weird, and we were like, why are we being like, you know, like segregated, you know? And then it made sense. Like he was showing Alabama, you know, showing these people that like this is beautiful too, you know. And I always applaud him for that. And like it's funny because I could go on so many stories, but like he was probably like the biggest influence in my life aside from the other two mentioned, because he just made dance so beautiful for everyone.
Yes.
You know, and it made me feel good, and it made me want to do it, and it made my passion even stronger. And I always, yeah, you know, I should actually write him and tell him that, because I don't even think he knows that, like how much he has affected my life in a positive manner, you know. And also like he's just a genuinely good person. I will never forget, my dad got really sick, and my house went from a 2-parent income to a 1-parent income. And I remember like my first semester, it was fine. But then the second semester, like my mom didn't finish paying from the first semester. And it was like all this drama. And I remember like going to class, and then I waited for him. And I went to him and I just burst out into tears. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get put out. Like, this is going to be crazy. And he marched me right down to the financial aid and got me like 3 scholarships, got me a loan, and then like just all kind of stuff for me to stay in school. And for me, like that was everything, because he didn't have to do that, you know. Like there are people that I have crossed paths with that have been like, you got to figure it out. And he just always looked out for you. And it didn't matter like who you were. If he felt like you had potential, and he felt like you really wanted something, he was there to like push you, to motivate you, to support you. Like, and for that, like if it wasn't for Cornelius, I wouldn't have made it as far as I've done now. Cause that was rough. And he was there, and like, oh, I'll never forget that. Like it touched my heart. And I was like, you know what, this man, legendary.
Yes. I mean, truly. And these are probably stories or details that people don't hear. I mean, I know we're acquainted with it because we were there at the University of Alabama at the same time. But just, for one, I want to speak to that discomfort that we felt.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like, why? Because aren't we used to seeing everyone else on stage that,
right,
you know, they all look the same, or we're just the one of, you know, very few. Or it's interesting, the dynamics that were present in us even entering that situation, and how he fueled us in ways that sometimes we probably weren't even aware of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that we, in retrospect, you know, we go back and look at, or even by the time, you know, we've got into our, you know, junior, senior year, whatever, however many years we've been there. I feel like I stayed there a long time. But that you're like, oh, light bulb, I see what you're doing. You know, I get it. But appreciating it, and that you know, he's someone that's still, I call him like the Godfather. He's like my Godfather in dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's still there, like looking around or advocating for you in times that I know we were aware of, and some that we probably
weren't even aware of.
Yeah, don't even know, because I can't fathom having some of those opportunities without, you know, him, you know, being a sounding board for us and helping us and doing it, you know, for and to others. So,
and it was crazy because like I feel like I remember it was like one ARDT performance. Alabama Repertory Theater of Dance was like a pre-professional company at the school, and we ran it. And I remember like we were all over the newspaper. You remember that?
Yes.
And like it was crazy because I'm like, anytime you saw like, I don't know, an African American in the paper, it was like Black History Month. And it wasn't Black History Month. And we were like all over the paper for like a month and a half. Like it was a while. Like it was like pictures of all of us at different points of like the show, you know, that we were, yeah. And it was just, it was crazy. Like, and it made you feel good, you know, it made you be like, okay, like I'm here and everyone is seeing this and, you know, it's beautiful, you know?
It gets me. Sorry.
Yeah, I got the chills again. Or like J-Lo says, she calls it the goosies.
Yeah, I got them again. I go back and I have to revisit that sometimes. And it's not just me, it's being able to see you, it's being able to see, you know, the others involved and to have those experiences. And it not be, you know, it not be just the same old, same old.
Right.
Just like, I see myself. Like, I remember, you know, this is, even if I saw myself in you, I see myself.
Right.
It does something for generations to come, for people that we see that are our age. I don't think it's known that it's more than just for the next little black girl. It's for that black girl that may be right across the room from you that hasn't had the same, you know, experiences that you've had, but needed that moment.
Yeah, needed that. I'll never forget, like while we were there, you know, he would teach a combo and it would be the same combo and everybody was going to do it, but we all did it as a solo. Yeah. And I'll never forget, like when the light bulb came on, when I was like, man, it's crazy, like how you teach it and then you put it on people and like I did it and then someone else comes and does it and it's completely different and it's still beautiful, you know. And I felt like at that point, like my artistic eye started to kind of form, you know, and like I could appreciate the fact that like, oh, you know, I look around the room and we don't all have to be the same, you know, like, and it could still be a beautiful thing. And he was like the epitome of that, you know, like it was one combo and everybody was going to do it and it was still going to be the most beautiful thing you'd ever seen.
He would cheer you on. Everyone's cheering everyone on.
Yes, like it was crazy, but it was genius all at the same time, you know. In my mind then, I didn't even realize that, like, okay, like now that I want to get to the artistic side of it all, you were already setting me up for that.
There you go.
You know?
So good. That's so good to just even reflect on and to share for other people to hear, because those stories are often not shared. And then the cycle continues.
Yeah.
There you go. Tell me what keeps you grounded.
Ooh, what keeps me grounded? I know that in a heartbeat, all of this can be taken away. And the fact that I'm truly grateful or whatever, but it has been hard work, but it can be just like in a blink of an eye, whether it be an injury, God forbid, or someone just says, I'm done, you know? So I try to just stay humble and appreciate and be grateful for everything that has come my way, and not to be afraid to say thank you, because that takes less energy than it does to not say anything at all. And also it's the people I kind of surround myself with. It's funny because now I look back at it and like all my friends, like they're always supporting, you know, like, oh my God, I saw you on TV or like, or, you know, whatever. And like just surrounding myself with good people that have like my best interests at heart as well as I have theirs. Yes. So yeah, like I've been fortunate. Like I've met a lot of people, but I've been able to hold on to the people that mean the world to me, and they support me wholeheartedly, as well as I do. So yeah, just staying humble though. Like I never think that I'm better than this person or I'm a better dancer. I never thought that. For me, like it was always like, okay, so now Cherie's gonna dance and I'm gonna see what I can learn from her so that now I could try it. You know, for me, it was always like, always wanting to learn, you know, and I feel like that too will keep you grounded, is like, you're always open to learning something new every day. And not just in dance, in life, you know, your soul it can be fed, but it's never stopped though. Like you can keep putting things on top of things, and it only makes you a better person. So for me, that's what it is.
Yes. Just
with the goosies.
I did again. Now at this point, permanent goosebumps. But even if just one person from this, you know, goosebumps or not, you take away something, it's always beneficial, always valuable. Even listening to you, it's encouraged me. And It's just a free masterclass, I think is what it is.
Yes, come on, masterclass.
Masterclass. Oprah. No,
Right.
let's get into something funny because I know some for you. I'm not going to share.
Oh gosh.
Tell me give me some embarrassing moments, like on stage or just in dance, or your favorite, whatever you want to share.
And there's so many. It was one of those when I lost my wig. Yeah, you know, and I remember losing my wig, but I don't remember where we were. Were we at Disney or were we at school?
I think it was. Wait, stop.
I think it was at school.
I think it was at school.
Yeah, because I remember it like coming off and it being like off to the side, like just chilling. Okay, so there's been.
Go ahead.
Wait, what'd you say?
Kept dancing though, like that's the
Yeah, you know, because in concert dance you got to keep going. You know, you can't stop. Now at Cirque, that took a lot for me to get used to because Cirque is like they're like leave the stage if you're bald, and I'm like wait what? No, the show must go on, and they're like no, it doesn't. There's so many people on stage. You're good. Okay, cool. But okay, I got one. So at Beauty and the Beast, I think you were there for this. There was a role that at the end of Be Our Guest, they go and they get these little carts, and on the carts there's like little desserts. And I used to always like try to be extra because that's who I am. And I used to do like a little saute on the cart. Well, when I did that, the whole cart just fell down and I fell. And I think I was the first girl to go across because it was two girls that actually did that. And one girl had to wait on the other girl. So I'm trying to be extra and fell in the center of the stage. Yeah, that was embarrassing. And you're talking about like people, like so many people come to Disney and I'm like, I was surprised that didn't make it on YouTube.
There are lots of different props in your show. And I mean like a car and,
right.
You know, aerial work, the light. How is that experience? And how was it going into that experience? Like,
you know, actually it's exhausting first and foremost. I'm gonna tell you that it's exhausting. The props, going into it, it's overwhelming. I'll never forget when I learned my original, this was before we happened to go through a refresh a couple years ago. So the show that I learned when I first went to Love is long gone. But I used to have to run out and stop the car, but the car actually is still coming towards me. So that was creepy. And then I would have to jump in the car enough to where my legs would hang out the car and then I could flick them up and down. So there's been a plethora of me hitting my head, my wig shifted back, a lot of that. It's scary. And then on top of all of that, they have acrobats jumping over the car, like flipping and doing crazy stuff. So I'll never forget that. I was petrified. And then the dance master at the time was like, okay, now you're going to get on top of the car. And I was like, what? What? Now I got to get on the car. And it's funny because on the top of the car, there's like this, like we call it a spine, and you can't stand in the middle. You have to stand on either side. But then to add more issues on top of the car, then they'll add another person to get on the car with you. And you're like trying to partner and do all this hand jive and locking stuff or whatever. And you both are like trying to stay on the car. So for me, like props are stressful. I've worked with a lot of props, but in this show, like it's overwhelming. Cars, there, as Lady Madonna, you have a prosthetic stomach. So you're pregnant throughout pretty much the entire show. That we have umbrellas now that we work with. And that's funny too, like working with the umbrellas, because you have like 8 dancers on stage and at some point somebody's going to get hit with the umbrella. And then also in the umbrella, we have confetti cannons or whatever. And then there are times where like somebody will just walk out and the confetti will just go up and it's not even time for the confetti to, you know, so yeah, working with props can be a lot. It's fun, but it's also very stressful. So yeah, even down to like wigs and stuff like can be definitely props.
Whether it's costuming or extra props or anything, because that feather duster gave me tendinitis. It's just like in your full body,
yes,
body and spirit. You need to have it all.
It's true though. It's really true. And then let's add some steps that you got to run up and down.
You're right.
And it heals.
Yeah, just make it work. Make it work. Okay.
Right.
It will teach you. And I think people often think like just dancers are the most graceful, beautiful people.
No, we're the opposite.
Catch me off.
We're the opposite. If you know us personally, you know.
Right.
We're the opposite.
So funny. Okay, my last question. Do you still get nervous, or have you ever? I mean, is there a like
Every time I perform? Oh, yes. I don't think that'll ever go away. I like to say that I don't. That's a lie. You just never know like what's going to happen, and especially in the show now, in Beatles show, there are so many. Aside from the props, and aside from so many people and so many things like on stage, we also have lifts that go up and down, that malfunction as well, and so you just don't know what the night is going to entail. So yeah, I feel like for all of us, we are like somewhat nervous. Like, it's a lot. Like you have to be like on it, you know? So yeah, it's stressful. Yeah. It is.
But it's good to know, instead of just like, oh, you know, how we can sugarcoat, like, no, it's fine.
No, like it is, we have like, it took me a month to get into the show, and that's typical. Sometimes we have people that'll go into the show within like 2 or 3 weeks, and that's because they have to be accelerated because maybe we're short or something, whatever the case is. But we do a very vigorous not class, but like a staging almost kind of thing to like get us familiar with the stage and how it moves, and like, oh, if we put our arm here, it's going to stop the lifts, and you know, like all of that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of vocabulary that we have to learn, on top of also learning your dancing. So it's like, it's kind of like you go to school all over again, like once you get into the show, because it's like you're learning about the stage and like all what's going on stage, and then in the studio you're learning the dancing and everything, and so then you're just like on overload because it's so much that by the time you get in the show you're completely fried. But it's funny because like, as I remember being like, I'm not gonna remember, and then when you get on a stage you're like, you remember everything. Yes. You do, and it's like, oh God, like but yeah, that's the biggest thing, is to like, just, we always have to be aware of like, there's a hole. Oh, okay, now that lift hasn't come up yet, so we can't go over. And thank God for technology. Like we have things that play to let us know like something is wrong, or we have lights that let us, that, you know, are different colors and things like that. So it works out where it kind of helps us, but it's still a stressful like situation to be in every night.
Yes, because your awareness has to be, it's just heightened awareness.
Yeah, like you're just on alert, like all the time.
Right.
And then being artist coach, you have to be on alert all the time, but also have to be on alert for everyone else too.
Yeah.
So there were times where I'm like, there's a hole or there's something on, and I'm like yelling, get off stage, you know, you know, because it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody is safe, you know, and then I'm, you know, protecting them and all that kind of stuff, and keeping the integrity of the show, but also keeping the safety of the artists, you know. So yeah, it's very stressful.
So many layers, so many.
Yeah, so many. It's like an onion, literally. I feel like I sound like Donkey from Shrek.
No. It's not just get up there and go dance, or we learn.
No. I feel like that's like the like if you had a sundae, that's like what's the cherry on top. The dancing is the cherry on top. It's all the other stuff that you have to, and you've heard that saying, like the real show is backstage. That is so true.
Yes.
That is so true, you know? So.
Such good information. Okay. So I, again, could talk to you forever. So just come back and sit with me, you know.
Okay. I'll do it again.
Yes. Let's do it again. But I appreciate you. And value this so much. Again, I'm so glad that I get to go back and edit and like almost relive and these things. But I'm going to, with your permission, give everyone your information so they can follow you on Instagram. Yeah. If you want to know something, I trust and believe that she'd be more than, you know, welcome to give you, you know, a little bit of information to help you along your way.
Absolutely. I feel like it's our duty, you know, and I consider myself on the older side of dance now, you know, and I feel like it is my duty. It's my duty to like make sure that you have a better experience than what I had. And my experience, I feel like it was great. You know, there were things that I had to learn along the way. So it would have been easier if someone had just kind of guided me, but you know.
Same. I'm all for that because I want to help, want to, you know, make it easier for you. Of course, there will be things that everyone traverses. That's their own experience and we have to go through those things. But if there's something I can do to help you make it easier.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
Because
the only thing is I can't get you into Cirque though.
No,
kidding.
I kid.
I kid.
No inbox messages.
Right. Well, you can send me your reel, and I will push it on to the artistic.
All the things.
Right.
No, that's awesome. Are there any last things that you would like to share with our audience? Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, you guys just stay safe. You know all the rules, so I don't have to say the 6 feet and all that kind of stuff. And like, as far as dance is concerned, don't give up. You know, like if you're really passionate about it, stay persistent. Like that's like the best word that I could give you is be persistent and don't apologize for feeding your soul. You know, you're the only one that's going to do it.
Thank you, friend. I'm so appreciative. I look forward to continuing these conversations, and I just, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, for everybody who's watching, someone needs to interview Cherie. Okay, I'll do it.
She has volunteered.
Right, so remember that or whatever, because she is phenomenal. Just saying. Okay, you should check the resume.
I appreciate it. We're gonna get something in the works. Yeah, one day maybe.
Yeah, you should have everybody that you did the Q&A with.
Come on.
Yeah, and then we all interview you. See, that's how that happens.
But this has been fun. Again, I appreciate you. Everyone, watch this, rewatch it, and then share it with a friend. All right, thank you, friend. We're signing.
Bye.